This is KimVy from Luna Lounge, and I'm here with Chris Rohrig and Alexander Walk. Welcome, you guys. How did you guys feel about recording tonight?
It was great. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot more relaxed than I thought it would be.
Oh, yeah? Really? You were nervous, or you were like...
No, not nervous. I think I just didn't, I think typically with film sets like this, it's very by the book.
Gotcha.
And I think this was a lot more fun in some ways. So it was cool. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I have zero musical talent. So A, it was fun, and B, I mean, it looked tough. I don't, I can't even play spoons, so I don't know how it was, but you looked like you're having fun.
You released a new song, right? The song that you did tonight, you released 3 months ago.
I think like 3 or 4 months ago. Yeah. That's my first big single that's out, which is exciting. But yeah, I do have stuff on YouTube and that sort of thing. But I think my main big projects, Evergreen is the first one I put out in a long time. So yeah, I'm excited to do more. Definitely.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And then you have been doing artwork for a long time.
Yes, I've been doing art for a long time. I think one of the coolest things is, I mean, you can't really say that about a pandemic, but when everything stopped, I really had time to get back into making art.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of things that I think for a lot of people as well, you put up on the shelf and you're like, oh, I'll get to that when I have time, or maybe I'll do that tomorrow, maybe I'll do that next week. You make all these excuses. I had time, and so I picked up my phone, and technology's grown so much that I was able to do a lot of stuff on my phone that I wasn't able to do previously, and yeah, I got just fell right back into it. So
nice. And then tonight's work was about, I remember we were talking about the multiple layers.
Yeah.
You had photos putting on top of each other.
Yeah. I mean, much like the music, we were sharing back and forth the artwork, and I think there's this there's the meaning of something, and then there's the meaning of that meaning, and you can just keep peeling those layers. There's just all these things that are just piled on top of it, on top of it, on top of it, and either you're pulling at those things to get to the heart of it or the root of it, or you're burying it with different materials or mediums, etc. And that's how I went through this process with these pieces.
And you said you listened to his music, and you're like, wow, you were able to figure out how to format with his music.
Yeah.
The process of it. You guys were talking together for a long time, I heard.
Yeah. We had a few Zoom sessions where we kind of just gelled together and threw some ideas around, and I showed him my music, and he kind of showed me his artwork, and then we just talked about who we were as artists. So it was more of a general conversation as opposed to, oh, let's do this. And then Chris was like, oh, I have some ideas.
Yeah.
Get back to you. He got very excited. It was very fun, It was cool. We were both oh, this is good,
Yeah, I think right at the start there was this connection and this excitement over that creative process, and how we dive into things. I think in we have this idea, or we formulate this concept, and then we just run with it and see where it takes us. And I remember the first conversation we had about the songs and the layers and we started talking about tin can telephones about one of the songs, and it was just cool. We just went from there. We created a folder online, and we just started putting different things in it, and stickers and lyrics and whatnot. So it was really cool.
Did you pick the 2 songs before you talked to Chris, or after talking to Chris, then you were trying to figure it out?
Yeah, I had those 2 songs in mind I was going to perform, so I kind of just sent him those. I think I knew I wanted to do Evergreen because that was, the one that came out fairly recently. And then A Little Time Off is just very different stylistically and mood-wise, so I thought that would work well for the performance. And then, I think he liked both of them and could work with them, so we just went with those.
Yeah.
Are you guys happy we paired you guys together? I wasn't sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you understand why we paired you guys together?
I think the biggest thing that stuck out in the conversation we first had was, as artists, I think we both are people that really do art because we need to. Yeah. So I think that was the biggest thing I related to that Chris said, and I think that was really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I got when I found out who I was paired with, I was like, oh, Google, blah, like let me find like whatever I can find, and I came across Evergreen, and like that was like I was like yes, like I was like 100% yes, like I want to be paired with this person, fantastic, awesome, let's talk. One of the times we were talking, he asked me like when I find time to make art, and like I still don't even know how to answer it. Like I think I said like whenever I can, right? But like it's one of those things where you have this need, this want, this desire to do this thing that not only like to some extent brings you joy, because sometimes it's like torture and you're like, I just have to get this out, it's not working and I effing hate it. But then other times you're like, okay, like I have to balance all these other like things that I have going on in my life, and you're like some things obviously get sacrificed, and you're like, okay, like if I sacrifice here, how do I balance it out here? And like with a family with 2 kids, like it's like the grown-up version of college. I don't know, I don't fucking know anymore, but like there's just always something going on. And if anything, like I think that, you know, as you go from college to like the real world, like you'll find that those things that, and this is me dropping like really bad wisdom,
Okay, no,
but like as you go on and like you find these things that get in your way, like I found as I gotten older, like they're not actually getting in my way, they're like showing me a different side of like how I would approach like my art or my passions like previously, and it gives me this new perspective on them. So and it's definitely given me like more patience when it comes to like when I'm working with different mediums and different materials, etc. Like it's definitely like, oh, like take a deep breath, like go outside, go look at the sky for a second.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, enjoy not having kids. 100%. Yeah, you do that.
Okay.
When did you guys realize this is what you wanted to do?
I think for me, like when I was a kid, I must have been like 7 or 8. My mom would like grab me like crayons or whatever, and I would take these giant sheets of paper and I would just dump the crayons out and literally cover every single inch of that piece of paper with crayons. And then like I'd be done, and my mom would like, I would think my mom would be like, what the fuck? Like, and she's like, this is beautiful, let's frame it.
Oh.
And like that had to have like played into, right? Like when you get older and you're like, oh, I wanted this, like that feeling you have, like I think we were talking about this too, like how do you separate the feeling, or maybe I was talking to somebody else about it this morning or earlier, like how do you separate the feeling from the thing, and like how do you separate from that moment in time? And like I think that's an added layer to like whether it's music or art, like there's the piece itself and then there's the time and the place it was created. So like how do I separate that? I don't know, but it probably had something to do with those crayons and that piece of paper. I don't know.
I like that story. I think I started to turn to like writing music and acting as a way to cope with stuff, because as a kid I moved around a lot, and my parents got divorced, and I think that was a big like formative time in my life where I needed an outlet, and that was my outlet. Like I know, other people have sports and that sort of thing, but that wasn't for me, and it was very easy for me to just pick up a guitar and just try and get out my thoughts in some way. So that was very like cathartic for me.
I moved 9 times growing up. I wonder, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know that, but like we click on a certain level.
Are you guys both outgoing? Nah, well, I know you're outgoing.
I mean, just a little bit. Just a little bit. I mean, you're fairly outgoing, right?
Yeah. But you were just serious tonight, so I couldn't tell.
Well, yeah, I think when I'm working too, it's a little different because I'm like I'm very focused.
It's hard though, right? Like hearing you say that. Like sometimes when I'm my like jovial, gregarious self, and then like I show them my artwork, they're like, "What? Like that doesn't fit? Like why? Like who? Like this isn't the same person." Right. And I could totally see that a little bit with you, like with the one song that you were playing, Evergreen. Like the focus and the emotion like was so present.
Yes, absolutely.
And then a little time off, you're just beaming the smile, and it was just like, oh, like I see that connection there. It's hard when you're not physically representing your artwork. Like I think there's this, I don't want to say easier because it's not easier at all, but like you're embodying your art, because you
Right.
are your art, right?
Yeah.
And I think that when as a media artist, right, as a where you're creating these objects, these things,
Yeah.
like you're separate from them,
Yes.
but you still embody them because like, and people can't separate that.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was interesting.
I agree. I mean, I think, you know, people can only see so many sides of you. So
Yeah.
it's like,
That's
oh,
true.
Alexander is this or
That's
Alexander is
true.
this. But, you know, with your art, you can explore everything
Yeah,
you
yeah,
want.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I would say the same thing with your stuff. I think, you know, I probably wouldn't have necessarily assumed, you know, what your art would look like after meeting you. And then I got to see this other side of you, which is exciting, you know? So I think it's cool to embrace that.
But I do want to say what you were talking about when you, both of your songs, you, and I don't know if I don't think it's acting because I know you're an actor, but I don't think he was acting in Evergreen, showing that love of the song. And then the second song, you were joyful, happy, beaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope you weren't acting.
I know.
With acting, you're still, you know, genuinely feeling the emotion, right?
Yeah.
The way you're conjuring up the emotion is not real, right? Because that wouldn't be safe. So like when I do the songs and I hear them, I'm thinking about what they're about and that sort of thing. And I think that's what conjures the emotion for me, and it's similar, I think, in a lot of ways to acting.
You write the song, is it for your guitar or any instrument, or does it pertain to
Any instrument? Yeah. Sometimes I'll write on piano and then put it in the computer. And
I wish I knew how to play the
Me
piano.
Me too.
Like if I could play
Me
any
too.
instrument, it would be a
Yes.
piano. Like
Yeah.
I just,
Yes.
Why
but
piano?
I just think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like I think like pulling up to a piano and sitting down and like seeing it like in front of you, the keys, like there's this, I don't know, there's this physicality to creating on the piano that I know nothing about, but in my head it's like, yes, like piano.
Yeah.
So you can play the piano too?
Yeah, I play a little piano.
So you have any other instruments?
Guitar is what I started on, so that's what I would say I'm most proficient in.
Well-versed,
But I do
proficient,
play a lot of bass these days, and I've been getting more into like piano and drums, just because I think that's kind of par for the course with recording. Is like you want to be able to play everything so that you can record a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
And I think that's the direction I'm headed in. So
When you're sitting down to record, whether it's like on the guitar, piano, whatever it may be, do you have like an idea of like where you're going with it? Or do you just have like a feeling or an emotion that you're trying to get out? Like what comes first? Like that drive and desire? Or like, oh yeah, I know what I'm gonna do.
yeah, we talked about that. I think I remember you saying similar to you. Like I really have no idea.
Yeah.
It's usually it's purely instinct and emotion.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder for me to write lyrics if I don't have like the music first.
Yeah,
So I
okay.
always need something that's inspiring me from like an emotional standpoint or whatever it is. So it's always just about experimenting and messing around until I find
love
a
that.
sound or a melody or whatever that I like.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
that.
And I'm sure, do you have that
For
kind
you?
of same experience? With your
Yeah, I think I was telling you earlier, like I was drawing or collaging with my son, and my son kept asking. My son's almost 6, and he kept asking me like, "What are you making? What are you making?" And I just kept being like, "I don't know.
Right.
Like I don't know. Like I'm just making things. I'm just drawing lines, right?" And he just couldn't. Like we just kept going back and forth. I mean, never argue with a 6-year-old, but like. Like when I get to the point where I want to make something or create something, it's usually like a color or a shape or like that feeling, like you were saying, where I'm like, oh, like I want to figure out how to better express this feeling.
It's funny, my sister's the artist, and sometimes I'm like, just create it. She's like, I can't do it on demand. It has to come, and it has to come whenever. If I were to look you guys up in the future, where do I expect to find you guys?
Oh my god!
Instagram, website.
I have to go first.
Formats,
I have to go first.
Any new upcoming things?
I
Any
mean,
excitements?
so if I was like happiest, I would love that you read an article that some crazy lunatic threw up like guerrilla style a whole bunch of images on billboards in some major metropolitan area. Like I have this grandiose idea that someday somebody will give me money to take one of my pieces and literally blow it up as huge as possible and just overnight throw it up on a billboard. Don't tell anyone what it is. and just have it be there. So if you look me up in like X amount of years and that happens, that was me. It was this guy. So we'll see. I don't know. That's my ridiculous
What about
idea.
your Instagram?
Yes.
I mean, there'll be stuff there
Yeah,
too.
too.
ChristopherDavidRohrig.com and then Christopher David Rohrig, which is on Instagram.
But I'll plug myself. Yeah, so Alexander Walk on Instagram. It's Alexander Walk.
Alex.
Thank you. Yeah. And yeah, like I'm on, Evergreen, which is on Spotify, all streaming platforms. YouTube, same thing. Alexander Walk, as in like walk down the street.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It was actually a very.
Thank you very much.
Actually, it was a great pleasure. I am very sad that I will never see you guys again.
Never.
You're never gonna see us again.